Yeah. What have you felt the effects of this in Lebanon, by the way? Talk about that.
Oh my God. Like, well, everyone around the world has felt the effects of like oil prices rising. And in Lebanon, it's really bad because we don't have electricity. Like state electricity comes for about an hour or 2 hours a day in Lebanon because the country doesn't have any money to buy fuel because of the economic collapse. So people are dependent on these diesel powered generators, but then you have to buy the diesel, like for your building. You have to everybody in the building chips in to buy diesel or for the neighborhood generator. So the cost has gone up because oil prices have gone up. So like my electricity bill, like everyone in Europe is complaining their electricity bills are going to be more than their rent. My electricity bill has been like that for the last year and no one cared because it's Lebanon. But now it's happening to people in Europe. But there's that. There's also like prices, I think, of food everywhere have gone up, and we're going to feel the effects of that more because like so Lebanon in particular got like 60% or 70% of its grain from Ukraine, and the rest of it was from Russia. And this war has obviously destabilized grain exports because of sanctions, and then also there's an actual war. So it's like Russia's not blameless in that situation.
Right.
But so a lot of global south countries are having like grain and wheat shortages. So like there's some times where you can't find bread, or only people with money can afford bread. Well, the inflation issue, like but the same problems exist here. It hurts more when you're in a global south country because people don't have as high incomes. So when the price of food goes up in countries where people already can't afford, it causes a way bigger problem with access to like food and food security than it does in a place like the US. And honestly, like the US is really the consequences of the war in Ukraine are minimized in the US because the US isn't so reliant on like Russian raw commodities the way that parts of Europe and even the Middle East are. But certainly like in the Middle East and Africa, the effects are really bad in places where they already have problems with food insecurity and poverty and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it really sucks. And then, Ukraine's been tattling. So like the Ukrainian embassies in Lebanon and Iraq have been like or trying to say like, oh, this grain that you imported is stolen Ukrainian grain. So this happened in Lebanon. There was like a ship of grain that was like legally purchased and shipped to Lebanon. And the ship was docked for like days during a bread shortage in Lebanon because the Ukrainian embassy filed a complaint with the Lebanese like government being like, this is stolen Ukrainian grain. And they investigated it and it wasn't stolen grain. But like they did the same thing in Iraq. They're like going around stopping grain imports from coming into the country on the like loose basis that it's stolen in places where people are like desperate for bread. Like it's actually insane.